Okay, we're back in. I'm going to go back into the color mix tool, and the photograph has actually been a little bit modified since you last saw it. But I'm going to go up in this. We were in the mix tool, so if I clicked on color and then mix, and then I think last thing I showed you, I showed you how you could click any one of these circles, and then you can make adjustments this way to the hue, saturation, and what's called the luminance of those colors. And you can just play around with those and make some adjustments, and they turn out to be pretty wild. Actually, let me pick a different photograph. I'm going to go to the camera roll, and I'll just take a new photo and make some adjustments to that. So here's just an image of a shadow. It's like a table on my back porch, and the sun was shining, so this is just the shadow. I'm going to go ahead and go back into color and then into mix. And what I'm going to do is click this little cursor, and you'll see here that what I can do is just click on any part of my image. So do you see that little circle that came up there in the upper part of the image? That's actually the color that I clicked on. And if I click here, I get this. Now the cool thing about it is whatever I've clicked down here, hue, saturation, or luminance, this is really like an unbelievably powerful thing here. You pay attention. So I can click on any part of the image, and the circle up here shows me the color that I've clicked on. Down here it also says, it also shows what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on saturation. And if I want to selectively saturate, and you know what, let me make sure I don't have a better image for the purposes of this particular thing, because I feel like that particular image might not be best. I'm going to go to camera roll. In fact, why don't I take a quick selfie, or just a picture of the camera itself. And now I'm going to go into this and then click automatic. Here I am. Oh, thumbs up here. Alright. And okay, so this will work. Nothing fancy, but it'll work. And I'm going to go back into Lightroom Photos, and now this is where it gets pretty awesome. So I can desaturate and oversaturate very certain areas of my image. If I go to saturation, now I'm going to click on my skin tone here. And now all I have to do is hold down and click, and just not click but just pull down. And then, or I could pull up. My finger is exactly in the same spot the whole time. Now if you look, my face turns a little bit black and white. And now it's got full color. Now it's fully saturated. So I'm going to actually, I could desaturate everything in the image. Hold on, I'm going to go, done, I'll go into mix. I think I clicked some buttons there. So I'm going to go with saturation, and then I'm going to click on, I'll just go ahead and click on everything. This could be a pretty cool, now do you see, oh, you could actually take a picture where everything in the image was in, I don't know, things get kind of crazy pretty quick. I'm going to actually exit out of that, and well, my face turned a really different color there, look at that. So, but this allows you to take just very particular, you can tell that I'm not quite as used to this. I do this on the desktop version of Lightroom. But again, I'll click on the cursor, and I'm going to go into saturation. Now, maybe the grass, if you look at that grass up here, and I'll desaturate it. Check out how that turned black and white, or very green. Black and white, or very green. Or I could go and I'll fully saturate the concrete, and then so on. So that's pretty awesome. In fact, I almost want to try it one more time to take a selfie and desaturate everything else but my face. So I'll go back into here and click on, let me move it a little bit. So this will be a little bit better, I think, because I'm going to try to desaturate my hat. So I'm going to go into color, and then into mix, I'll click the cursor, then I'm going to click on saturation. Again, you can modify hue and luminance in the same way, but I'm going to carefully click on my hat, and I'll bring it down, so that's gray. And then maybe my shirt, I'll bring it down, so that's gray. Now, some of the color that was in my shirt was also in my face. So it's going to take any color that it sees as that color and desaturate it. I'll desaturate the camera, I'll desaturate this, and you can do this until you get a black and white photograph. And then once you do this, alright, so my face is black and white, but the thing around it is a little bit different color. So, and I could do the same with luminance. You could, I think one fun thing to do, yeah, let me just stop there, because if you look at the before, yeah, this had a kind of a cool effect with the before and after. I desaturated my shirt, which desaturated my face, because my shirt's a very similar color as my skin, or similar enough that when I pulled the saturation down on that specific hue, that it went ahead and desaturated my face. But everything else around it is more saturated, which has an interesting effect. If you just look at the overall effect of this image compared to this image, it's maybe a minor adjustment, but nonetheless, I think it's pretty interesting. So, alright, I think, in fact, I'll just continue to make a couple more adjustments as if I was actually making this like an interesting photograph. I'll go into bump the contrast up just a little bit. I'll increase the exposure. I'll dial some of those highlights back. I like shadows a lot, even at the expense of losing detail in my face. I like shadows because it kind of, there's a little bit of a, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe, now this is just a feel thing. So I'm looking at the whites and I'm like, when is it just gonna be right? Okay, there. And blacks, again, with the shadows. I like the blacks when they kind of are creeping in a little bit like that. But now I've lost so much that I want to get just a little bit back. And how about that? And last thing I want to do is I'm going to desaturate the whole thing. So I'm going to take saturation down, and the temperature, I'd like it to be a little bit more. That got a little extreme. I'll take vibe down and saturation down. Temperature can be adjusted here. And I want just a little bit of color showing through, but I'm trying to find this kind of a balance. I'll turn the vibe up, okay. So there's the image I'm left with, and let's see the original. Sometimes that, but there we go. Original, and then the heavily edited version. And I just think, I don't know, in my mind, the heavily edited version is a more compelling image. This is just kind of boring and flat and not compelling. This just pops and has contrast. Not to say that this is a profound image, or, I don't usually take pictures of myself, but this was the easiest thing to show you how these adjustments work. So in the next image, or in the next video, I'm going to move on to show you some of the effects, and I'll give you a little bit of a highlight, or give you a little bit of a sneak preview, because I think it'll work well on this image. I'm going to make a vignette. Now notice the corners, how they're darkening like this. I think that even added to that photo here, so I'll go before and after. So in the next video, I'll show you effects, and that'll be in the next week.